Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be looking at messages from your person. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Quartz cluster, along with these cards. Group 2 is the Smokey quartz, along with these cards. And group 3 is the black quartz, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Quartz cluster, along with these cards, which I will start with, and we're going to look into kind of the general energies of what's going on with this person right now and in terms of the connection itself. So we have Turtle Clan, grounding, steady progress, solidity, radiant, and riches. So this energy with the Turtle Clan, this is really giving me Knight of Pentacles energy, somebody who might be really focused in conjunction with riches on work at this time, trying to kind of distract themselves from their feelings, from their emotions, maybe trying to build also a solid foundation for themselves, operating in a little bit of a lack mentality, but it feels like they have kind of picked themselves up out of pity party mode and they are doing something about it, making active change in their circumstances. Instead of just looking around and feeling very overwhelmed, this is somebody who's working on building their self-esteem with this energy of radiant. It may be something where at this point in their life, or this point in their journey, they are really equating that self-esteem largely with what they have in a material sense, security that they have in terms of finances, something to do with job or career. There may be a lot of stress at work or a lot of pressure that they are under. It's a timeless reading, so whenever you find this reading or it finds you and the messages resonate, please take them as they are applicable. But at the time I'm recording this reading, We're coming up on the holiday season and the end of the calendar year. So often people can feel a sense of pressure, travel, that they may have to budget for, gifts or celebration that they may have to budget for, kind of wrapping up projects or even some deadlines that may have to do with work, with production, with quotas that are needing to be met. And so this could be primarily this person's focus, a little bit of pressure at this point in time, kind of digging their heels in and doing what is necessary in order to bring some kind of closure or bring some kind of success to themselves in the material world, which does affect how they are able to then show up in conjunction to the connection with you. If they feel a little bit distant, a little bit distracted, whether this is somebody that, is still in proximity to you, they're in your life in some capacity, or if this is a complete no contact situation, the energy may feel very still between the two of you at this point in time. And it does feel because their attention is focused elsewhere. Somewhat to avoid kind of the feelings that they are having, but it feels a lot of that has to do with necessity. It may be more than just kind of an avoidance tactic, but there may legitimately at this point in time be matters of material concern that are forcing them to almost apply a lot of effort, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of time and dedication and psychic energy to, again, kind of closing some things out, reaching some goals with this energy, again, of kind of the Knight of Pentacles with the Turtle Clan, something they've been working toward, maybe working toward all year. For some people, this could be in terms of education or something with a promotion at work. They've been putting in all this time and effort, and they're nearing the finish line of that. They're nearing a state of completion for that. So the connection seems to be in terms of making forward progress towards you, or kind of taking things to the next level. It feels that that is a bit on the back burner for them at this point in time. It's their immediate environment that is of the most concern. It is very contingent with how they feel about themselves, sort of what they have built, what they are able to accomplish, that puts them into a space or affects directly sort of what is going on in that internal landscape. It's the idea of as within, so without. So kind of a reverse of that, though, at this point in time, or that these two kind of aspects are really intermingled with one another, where, again, these goals that they've been working toward kind of as they wrap things up in a particular cycle or at this point in the year, it directly affects how they feel inside. How they feel inside then affects what they are willing, able, or capable of doing in regards to making positive forward progress towards you, and either reconciliation or taking things to the next level, stepping things up a notch in terms of the communication between the two of you. If this is someone who's already reached out, you've already kind of come out of the no contact situation, it may be slow going at this point in time, almost a molasses-like energy in terms of really building and developing things, where they may have come in very hot and heavy, and then things have kind of moved to a standstill. But again, it feels because of some of these legitimate concerns in their material reality at this point in time. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some kind of further clarification and illumination about this before we move on into the messages. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Seven of Cups, so more water energy. And the Hierophant. So interesting enough with the Hierophant, that's card number 5, and then we also have here in the Turtle Clan that this is card number 5 as well. So 5s may be significant. You may be seeing 555 a lot right now. 5s are a number of change. So this really does tie into and support this idea of something that this person is seeking to change about their material circumstance, a change that they are trying to bring about, something they've been trying to manifest. It feels like in terms of a more traditional path, something, in a practical sense, money, stability, security. There is love that they have for you, but it's almost that a choice is being made at this point in time to focus elsewhere, to kind of put the lid on that cup of love, to not really focus on that at this point in time. Again, not in terms of in an emotionally avoidant way, although for some of you this could be kind of a deeper entrenched energy of that that kind of history between the two of you in the recent past, or in the ongoing sort of vibration of the connection between the two of you. Somebody who has really kind of shut themselves off in the heart space with that lidded chalice, and is instead most comfortable focusing on sort of a more traditional or practical approach to relationships, approach to connections, or something more kind of practical and within their understanding, within their area of expertise. Maybe that has to do with money or finance, or something to do with career. But love is not on the forefront of their mind at this point in time, or what they're able to give to you. It's very minimal at this point in time. This energy, though, of 5, of change, this does indicate that this is something which is kind of a temporary phase or a cycle. With the Hierophant, this really talks about transcendence, moving beyond that at a certain point in time, certain things will come into completion that they've been working toward. They will gain a greater perspective. This may require some tower moments, some losing out on opportunities, maybe a little bit of self-sacrifice that they're not exactly happy with the results of, and a different choice then can be made further down the road to alter what it is that they are focusing on, or make room within themselves for both of these things. It doesn't have to be love or money, it can be both. And so this person really at this point in time feels to be very much, it feels a little bit of just overly focused in one area that may be very necessary, but it's at the expense of this connection, not investing a lot. Again, a connection where currently the vibration, the energy may feel very still, very quiet between the two of you, not cold and detached, but just somebody who's almost holding their breath at this point in time. Their gaze is directed elsewhere, and outward, as opposed to inward and into the heart space and their feelings. So let's take a look at some messages from their higher self now and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, you are the first person to make me feel this way. So the intensity of the emotions that they have for you, the feelings in conjunction with this connection, might be of such a velocity and a constancy that they are seeing these feelings as a bit of a distraction, and that as a coping mechanism, or what they feel is necessary at this point in time, is to put a lid on that, to focus their attentions elsewhere. There's a sense of not feeling able, not having the bandwidth almost to devote time equally or in an equitable way to whatever sort of demands or priorities they have in their material world at this point in time, and what is really flowing through them at the heart space level. And we also have betrayal, but it came up upside down, and so that I usually don't, I mean, the cards kind of fly out everywhere, so I don't do reversals or anything like that, but it feels really relevant to this particular energy, where it's coming from almost their higher self as, please don't feel that I have abandoned you. I know that it may feel very much like you have been betrayed, in terms of somebody who could have come in hot and heavy, somebody who could have really initiated contact with you, only to kind of withdraw their energy or kind of move into this standstill. And it almost feels like a pleading, something that they aren't, again, necessarily able to speak in a 3D sense, but from the higher self, there's a little bit of worry about, maybe some kind of an emergency that came up, a lot of, again, pressure in the outside material sense, and a fear that you would take it the wrong way. Or even if this is something where, maybe there had been some movement in the higher realms and from the 5D self, but not a lot had been going on yet in a material sense. They've been taking steps towards you, or it's even just been a long, protracted period of no contact. They are very cognizant of a shift within their energy and how that may be received by you. So I'm just going to, again, keep this inverted in this case. And again, it's almost this sense of, please don't think that I am no longer interested. Please don't think that I am kind of moving off in another direction, or that somebody else has captured my heart at this point in time. It's just other matters of the material world that are really sapping this person's energy, or kind of pulling their focus away from, even just kind of this higher realm and this etheric exchange between the two of you. And they also say, I'm working up the courage to contact you. So if this is a complete no contact situation, it feels that the closer that they get to wrapping these other things up, to reaching these goals and milestones, it is starting to create more space within them and a feeling of capability, of having something of value and worth to present to you. Again, their self-esteem, they're really working on building that up right now, and it feels to be a priority at this point in time. Certain things need to take place internally within them before they feel at a place of readiness to be able to offer you something of value, to be a productive and stable presence within your life, within your world. If this is someone where, maybe communication has started back up, but then it sort of came to an abrupt kind of standstill energy, then they are trying to figure out a way to kind of convey this to you, not necessarily being cognizant of fully, or being prepared to, express in depth the way that they feel that it's an either or situation right now. Either they focus and devote themselves fully to whatever they're trying to build or gain in a material sense, in terms of their mundane reality, their kind of everyday reality, things to do with work or finance, but that they don't want to kind of divulge that fully, that it's either or. Either it's that, or they're devoting themselves fully to kind of opening up and developing and exploring these feelings. They're seeing things almost in a very black and white manner at this point in time, that they may not literally have the time to do both. A lot of pressure, a lot of deadlines that could be upon them at this point in time. But they are understanding, they're feeling and sensing energetically that, and again, that kind of that worry that you will think that it's something about you, or that the movement they've taken forward towards you was maybe done very impulsively. It wasn't coming from, a very genuine place. And so there's a fear of that, a fear of you kind of misconstruing what's going on. And so some sort of communication or clarity is necessary, but they're still in this process of not really being sure how to do that, what to say in order to kind of convey the general sense of what's going on within them, kind of this pressure that they are feeling externally, without really opening things up to maybe giving you false hope in this sense, or overcommitting themselves. Also not wanting to make you feel at a loss in terms of the momentum that had been building between the two of you and any changes that occurred with that. They also say, I want you. I want you in my life. I see you as my future. So this does tie into what they are doing in the material sense right now. Again, building that sense of confidence, that sense of self-esteem for the place that they are at in their awareness and in their journey. For a lot of these people, they are really, they are equating that, their worth and value based on what they can produce, what they can provide, what they can earn or own. And that doesn't necessarily, make it right or wrong. It's just the level of kind of how they are operating at this point in time. It's something that is known. It's something that, maybe has been ingrained by them, by their family or tradition or upbringing. They are not at a place in their journey or in their kind of level of ascension to recognize almost the wealth without measure of love, of quality time spent together, of emotional support, of good times that are shared, of constructively working through, difficulties and issues, of communication, of consistency. These items and elements are not being factored in terms of their value and their worth to a partnership, or even their value and their worth in their life in general. So just from the perspective that they are operating from their worldview, it comes down to what they have, what they can give, what they can provide. Somebody who wants to engage with you, but in an energy of reciprocity, where they have kind of these other factors and phases of their life in a more kind of solid solid area. They've wrapped some things up. They have, kind of these mechanisms that are flowing very nicely. They have that time and space. They have created that for themselves in order to be able to then explore matters of emotion and matters of love. So they do see you as somebody who they would like to build with in the long term. And again, if this is someone that maybe the communication has started back up again, it ties in with this element of fear, not wanting you to feel bamboozled or betrayed by this person, but not really being sure how to explain that fully, kind of their motives and what they are feeling needs to be prioritized at this point in time or first before they are able to give more fully to this connection. If this is someone you're still in a complete no contact situation with, then again, as they are kind of going through those motions, building whatever this is, building this empire for themselves, or this sense of stability, this sense of confidence within themselves and accomplishment, part of that kind of long-term future, that horizon that they are moving toward, it does involve this, and it almost feels very hazy. It's something very nebulous at this point in time, but they do envision you. They feel you energetically, kind of circling around in that energy of what they picture as the future for themselves, as they are, kind of allowing themselves these occasions to sort of dream and sort of think to those far off horizons. And they're going back over, people that they may have dated romantically in the past. They're thinking about this connection. There's really this energy of contrast that's going on, of kind of all the possible candidates that they can think of or that they've experienced. You fit the bill for the person that would be most in alignment for what it is they are trying to work toward and move toward. They may not have been able to appreciate that at the time. It may not have been something that they valued at the time. They may have been very kind of ego-driven, looking more for relationships that, kind of puffed them up in some way or made them feel very, kind of accomplished or almost like matters of conquest. But it feels like something that now they are starting as the kind of this, something is shifting within them. It is shifting into a realm of more stability in a material sense, or this is the goal. They're getting more serious about that, more serious about their life, more serious about creating something long-term, creating a foundation for themselves. And then they are imagining who will be by their side, kind of in this kingdom that they are building, and energetically speaking, and even in kind of the practical ways, the memories that they are looking back on, the interactions, subtle qualities about you, how you interact with the world, deep senses of kindness and empathy and nurturing that you possess and have exuded, patience, humility, wisdom, wit, all these different things. It feels like the perfect recipe, the perfect formula for who they would want by their side to kind of move forward on into that horizon in a long-term sense. They also say, I regret a lot of the things I have said and done. I apologize. So definitely somebody who needs to work a little bit more on expressing their feelings directly. They may be somebody who just kind of goes into their shell when they feel a lot of pressure, when they feel very confused or pulled in a lot of directions. They may be very abrupt in how they kind of make space for themselves or kind of focus on certain priorities. It's something that they are reflecting upon, ways in which they might not have been very clear. They left you with kind of this feeling of almost, what happened? Things were going so well, and then all of a sudden it was just like a faucet just kind of closed off very suddenly. So it's part of what they want to, really express to you, really want to bring forth to you. This can also talk about somebody in a complete no contact circumstance where, maybe in the past they kind of led you to believe or things that they said or things that they did made you feel that, you weren't good enough. You weren't the type of person that they were looking for. They weren't looking for a serious commitment or this type of commitment. It was something they weren't ready for or weren't interested in. All of that has really shifted for this person. They're really gaining clarity the more they're coming into that place of solidity within themselves and within whatever they're working toward. They're building that self-esteem. They're becoming radiant and feeling very accomplished on the inside. It is giving them, again, perspective as far as who they would want by their side moving forward and what they may have done to kind of thwart that in this situation. So it may even feel easier for them to just kind of stay away at this point in time as well, because there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done, a lot of apologies that may need to be given, or some heart-to-heart conversations that they just don't feel prepared at this point in time. They need to kind of sit with that and think about that more. They need to build that confidence and self-esteem in other ways in order to be able to come forward to you in this energy of strength, to be able to kind of weather whatever the dense kind of interaction between the two of you may be, to talk about those difficult things, to be open to holding space for you to express yourself, and also to be able to kind of open up and be more vulnerable than they may have been in the past. And they also say, I know that I've hurt you. I'm sorry. So again, that energy of apology, regret for having not been more clear, not having expressed themselves more, becoming kind of aware of some shadows or distortions within them, maybe communication being one of those things where, when they're feeling pressure, the response or the reaction rather is just to kind of shut off, to leave people with a lot of unanswered questions. There may be some reflecting as to how this has negatively impacted them in other circumstances in their life, maybe to do with coworkers or friends or family members, other romantic partners. So it's an energy of hindsight, as much as their, main focus is kind of on what is in the here and now, what is around them, what they are needing to work toward or in the process of kind of building. There is almost this kind of narrative that's running in the background, these memories that are kind of floating through, this introspection, these epiphanies that are happening. They're gaining more clarity about the situation and really sitting back and almost feeling into how they would feel if they were in your shoes in this situation. A lot of regret that is with that, but not really being sure at this point or feeling equipped to be able to kind of do anything about that at this point in time. It's just kind of, it's almost something on their to-do list, but it's further down than these other kind of pressing concerns and matters that they are choosing to prioritize, or that are really just out of their sheer nature. So deadlines at work, for example, things they need to kind of wrap up, holiday preparations, things that literally need to be prioritized over kind of digging into that emotional space and carving out the time and making themselves fully available to working through this in a productive manner. And they also say, I think of you all the time. So again, that kind of program running in the background, this narrative, these memories that come flooding in for them. It feels almost this energy of, as they reach milestones, as they kind of accomplish things, they reach their goals, they're getting acclaim, maybe they've gotten a promotion or a raise, something that they have been working toward, as they're gearing up for the holiday season, and thinking and about kind of the closeness with friends and family and loved ones, and seeing people kind of getting together and making merry with one another. There's a sense of missing you and wishing you were by their side, feeling that something is missing, but feeling that the time might not necessarily be right to do anything about that. And they also say, I sent you healing energy today. So if you have felt some kind of kundalini energy, some kind of burst from this person, maybe it was nothing you could even put your finger on, but you just woke up feeling very much at peace, very energized, very rejuvenated, where there has been heaviness, a lot of pressure that has been upon you as well, for the same kind of reasons and things that are on this person's mind. Deadlines, the holidays, the year wrapping up, things you have wanted to accomplish. It feels, that the two of you definitely have that same kind of genre of focus at this point in time, but you're just dealing with it in different ways. You're addressing these energies and approaching these things in a different manner. That this person, has, again, through that kind of reflecting on what happened, putting themselves in your shoes for a minute. They have sent you that loving vibration in real time today. It may be all that they are capable of at this point in time. That higher self, that 5D communication, that energetic kind of connection between the two of you. But this is definitely a situation where at this point in time, even if you're in complete no contact, you haven't heard from this person in a while, they're feeling very kind of nostalgic and compelled towards you. This may be all that they are capable capable of at this point in time, though, is again just sending those loving vibrations, that healing energy your way. You may not even be cognizant that it came from them. This may just be kind of a general feeling of goodwill, or a general feeling of kind of peace and serenity that has washed over you today, or it may be in kind of the next few days. It may have been in the previous few days, just kind of in this very immediate proximity of time for whenever you're watching this video. That can be a confirmation from them, from their higher self, that was kind of the origin point of that. That, you know, it's something, it's a small something. It's like that Ace of Cups. It's that very kind of basic sort of extension of loving energy. And it's just all that they can give at this point in time, because of just some other, it almost feels like a crunch that they are under, kind of this energy of a vice that they are within. They can't really make any sort of movement. It feels definitely to be well outside of the realm of just someone making excuses, although that definitely could be a factor in this circumstance. But there is a lot of concern, for whatever reason, about you not getting the wrong impression about something that has shifted within them energetically, or something that has shifted within kind of the dialogue and the communication between the two of you if you are in contact with one another. And they also say, I do not know what to say to you. So that definitely is a reinforcement of what was coming up here, that, you know, they're still in the process of being able to kind of dip down into that heart space and to put the words to this. This may be a very important kind of teaching tool, this experience with the two of you at this point in time, where some previous kind of methods or tactics of, you know, the pressure is on and they just sort of close off, that this has now been demonstrated at kind of, the extreme polarity of the results they did not want to experience from that. And so that can definitely account for why that healing energy has been sent your way. You know, they're reflecting, there's some self-reflection that is going on here about how they made you feel, questions that they may have left you with, a sense of uncertainty. Or even just they are very aware of the stillness of the energy between the two of you, knowing that that is coming from their end, that is coming from their part. But they are just not sure how to really articulate, to say those, you know, those apologies, to express that kind of regret, and really not sure how to express at this point in time, kind of that black and white thinking, where, you know, they just can't envision it in their mind. And maybe this is a true and genuine reality for them at this point in time. They literally don't have the time to invest in this connection. There's a lot of deadlines, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of travel, there's dealing with family, there's dealing with, you know, all these other things that are wrapping up. And so it just feels kind of better, or most appropriate, or perhaps the only option at this very immediate point in time, to just kind of remain silent, to kind of remain still in terms of the energy here. But it doesn't feel like something that they are wanting to kind of perpetuate. It's this idea, again, with those fives about that change. It's kind of a temporary phase at this point, and that this person sort of in subtle ways and behind the scenes is looking toward that period of time where things will open up for them and they can approach this energy, approach this connection in a different manner, or give more to you than they have been able to give up to this point in time. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit about this situation for you. Okay, and we have patience. Wait for the fruit to ripen. So that is a beautiful bit of guidance that really ties into that element of a lot of external pressure, a lot of deadlines this person could be facing. They could just be really busy at this point in time. And so giving this the opportunity, these energies the opportunity to kind of sort themselves out, allowing this person the time and space to meet those goals, to meet those deadlines, to you know, have those holiday celebrations, to do that travel, to kind of wrap things up, trusting that whatever is currently going on in the situation between the two of you, that it will loosen up in time. There will be a shift. There will be a change. It may not be anything, you know, that is happening tomorrow, but it feels like something that is kind of almost right around the corner, but you need to just kind of release this expectation, release the expectation of when, kind of just have patience, and this person will either return to you energetically in a more profound found way, or that apology that they have been thinking about, that explanation that they know they need to give, that will come in due time in this circumstance. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got S, U, A, J, L, F, Z, M, W, and K. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer pre-recorded video readings. I've just brought back written readings, and I also offer channeled love letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and suncatchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the Smokey Quartz along with these cards, which I'll start with to kind of get a general overview of what's going on with your person right now, kind of the energies of the connection. So we have Stone Self, Inner Power, True Self, Potential, Wisdom, and Manipulation. So this Wisdom card with the crescent moon here, this is definitely bringing up vibes of the moon card in tarot major arcana, and a lot that is hidden, a lot that is not being displayed to you at this time. Somebody who, with the idea of the stone self, may have a very firm mask in place. It may be somebody who has stonewalled you, or it's a complete block in communication at this point in time. You may be going through kind of possible scenarios and even realistic circumstances, actual circumstances that you've experienced with this person about feeling very manipulated, feeling very tricked. If you resonate as a twin flame, or you have in the past resonated with that title or that association, you may be in a period of time where you're feeling very tricked, very betrayed, very misled by that, no longer resonating with that idea, really feeling that it was a lot of foolishness, or that in some way it was kind of a misconstrued definition or idea for this dynamic in general. So you yourself might find that you are detaching from labels like that. You're really questioning sort of what you have come to believe the nature and purpose of this connection is up to this point in time, how you have defined yourself, how you have defined this other person. And that a lot of that is really, it feels motivated by this very cold and walled off energy that is emanating from this person, or maybe actions that they have taken in the past to completely kind of close you off, to close you out of their reality and life. It does feel, though, that behind this mask, behind that kind of guise that they are putting up, that what the true feelings of what they have for you is completely contrary to what they may have displayed, or what they may have let you know. So there may have been manipulation and trickery involved in by way of somebody who, said that they didn't feel the same way, they didn't want a relationship, they weren't interested in you, they didn't want to continue things, they didn't want to pursue this any further. All of that really being this duplicitous energy that is hiding this true, almost this intensity, this almost overwhelm of what they were feeling for you. It may have also been motivated by kind of external factors. The opinions of others may have really interfered in this circumstance, or an uncertainty about how the two of you could make this work in a practical sense. Maybe there were other literal, obstacles standing in the way, one or both of you being in other connections, married or seeing other people, or in long-term kind of relationships, or just the dynamic, the nature of this connection being very much outside of the box of what they were used to dealing with. And fear really took over at a certain point in time. Rather than moving in the direction of their heart, they almost chose the path of fear instead, to cut things off with you. To cut off this communication, to give the impression very literally, and even just in kind of subtle and roundabout ways, that this was not what they were seeking, this is not what they were looking for. But they may have done that in a very kind of sloppy manner, in a very messy manner, and not the most mature manner, not the most forthright manner. But there's a lot that you are unaware of as far as those true motivations. The true factors, kind of what instigated that sort of action or that reaction. It feels that you are largely unaware of a lot of this fear that still exists within them, that on the other side of this wall there is almost this sinking feeling that they have, essentially sabotaged the potential for happiness, and kind of a transcendence of their experiences of love and partnership up to this point in time. It doesn't feel like it feels like this is someone who's most comfortable in the silence, but the potential that existed between the two of you was not lost to them. Whatever they said or did, it was, there was not a lot of truth in that when it comes to how they were actually feeling. Somebody who, may have had very poor communication skills with that, or just, it was a reaction at the time, and it's something that they regret that in hindsight, as kind of time has gone on from behind the safety of these walls, or this, thick silence that exists between the two of you. There is this energy of kind of mulling things over, of contemplation, of feeling that whatever they have said to you, and whatever kind of voices of fear, the opinions of others, it feels that it was also, manipulative of them. They are recognizing that they weren't acting in accordance accordance with their true intentions, with their true heart, with what their soul truly wanted, but instead were almost trying to people please, or were just kind of overwhelmed by the nature of what they were feeling, and that it felt safest to just kind of push that away rather than to display that vulnerability to you, that uncertainty to you, that hesitation to you, so that you both could work through this and walk together towards compromise, toward sort of figuring this thing out, toward kind of moving at a pace that was most comfortable to you both. The idea of wisdom, this is, this hindsight energy, that in hindsight they see the error of their ways, but again, they feel very comfortable in that kind of silence, in that sort of stonewalling energy. They don't feel at a place yet where they are able to bring anything forward. There is a fear that you may also not be receptive to them because of the history between the two of you. And an understanding that it will take kind of extreme consistency on their part and a very different approach than what they had utilized previously in order to kind of bypass some of your gatekeepers of, being extra cautious of this person. Kind of once bitten, twice shy. You're not just so easily going to let them back in once again. And so they feel kind of at a loss and very sort of remote from the possibility of creating change in this circumstance. They can't really see a way out. They almost feel kind of that they have put themselves in their own kind of realm of self-punishment by not acting in accordance or being more clear about, what they were truly feeling, what their soul truly wanted, operating from that path of fear or even ego in the past, and that it's a defeatist sort of attitude at this point in time where they're not really seeing a way forward, and it's almost a sense of maybe they just have to kind of sit with this guilt and this regret, for the duration of this lifetime. So I'm going to get some tarot to get a little more clarification about this for you. Okay, so we have the Eight of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Judgment, which is Scorpio. And Five of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So the Five of Wands definitely talks about this internal conflict, this internal turmoil. Should I reach out? Should I remain silent? Is it too late to do something about this, or can the circumstances be corrected? This is someone who's going back and forth about speaking some truth, providing some clarity and illumination, letting these walls down, but then they almost retreat back into that kind of what is known and familiar, the pattern or the approach they've taken up to this point in time. Which is reinforced with this Eight of Pentacles, which is kind of, it's this energy of work. So under this person understanding definitely that it will take hard work, it will take consistency, it will take dedication and effort in order to change these circumstances, but kind of sinking back into that energy of a rut, what they have been doing up to this point in time, what has been kind of the consistency or the theme in this circumstance. The idea of wisdom ties in really well with this energy of judgment, this wake-up call, this epiphany, this awareness that they are having in the aftermath of what has been done, what has been said, the circumstances that now exist between the two of you, that it's this sinking feeling of self-sabotage, a desire to reinvigorate this connection, to reawaken this connection, to reawaken the potential between the two of you, but feeling very much at a loss right now as far as how to do that. The idea literally of judgment as well. This person may feel that this is just their karma for having acted in accordance to, appeasing kind of the whims and desires of others, leaning into that arena of what would people think about this, really questioning sort of the love that they were feeling for you, and applying too much of kind of this practical consideration to the circumstance. You may have been from very different backgrounds or cultures or, economic status. Maybe one of you had been divorced or had children from a previous connection, a previous marriage, and that could have been perceived as kind of an obstacle for this person, and rather than constructively sort of working their way through that, they almost judged or dismissed this connection and the long-term potential of it. It felt too complicated. It felt too they were looking almost just for something easy, something seamless, something that was very predictable, something that they were used to, but they have now had this wake-up call, this awareness of this deep potential, this intense love, this intense chemistry and connection between the two of you that they have now distanced themselves with. They have pushed themselves and pushed you away. This energy of almost a wish fulfillment that now seems very remote. There is an acknowledgement as well that with this Judgment card, that something needs to really change and shift within them. They can't come back towards you in the same kind of energy and with the same approach that they had previously used. You may be a little more skeptical about them because of what has happened or time that has passed. They're aware that something needs to shift, something needs to be reimagined within themselves. A new approach would be necessary in order to be able to create measurable change in this circumstance. But it feels that at this time they are really just kind of leaning into that energy of the ending, feeling almost that it would take a miracle or some kind of divine intervention to change this. It feels like somebody who's in a very passive energy. They do not feel empowered to make change for themselves, but almost beholden to these circumstances that they have trapped themselves in. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self for you now, group 2. Okay, and they say, I need time to work things out. Just know that I want you. Please be patient. So this really reinforces the idea of a lot that is brewing beneath this wall and behind this wall of silence that they have put up between the two of you. There is an interest in change, an interest in kind of turning the page in this situation, but they can't really see how to do that. It feels very out of reach. It feels very remote to them. It's something where strategy may be involved, a period of kind of deeper introspection, sitting in this bed that they have made for themselves, sitting in that emotion and that feeling and that sensation and the reality that they have pushed a great potential, the potential for deep intimacy and connection, wish fulfillment on many levels, that they have pushed that away from their reality. And so it may take some time as well to kind of work through some of those motivations or tendencies within themselves, maybe to disconnect from other connections that they are in, friends, family, or romance, to really become very honest and seek to create change in terms of a tendency to people please or to be kind of codependent, overly ego-based or driven, looking too much externally and kind of ignoring the heart space. All of these things are a work in progress. And with the idea of patience, it does really, again, reinforce that idea that very immediately they don't feel that change is possible in this circumstance. It feels very hopeless to them at this point in time. And they also say, I am just healing. Please don't take it personally. So again, this idea of change that needs to happen, change that is starting to really simmer and come into fruition behind the scenes, behind this kind of wall of silence, behind this stone face that they're presenting to you and presenting to the world, being very unbothered, just continuing on in the status quo. But there's a lot of internal reflection. There's a lot that is coming to their awareness, these kind of epiphanies, these wake-up calls that are happening as far as the way that they treated you, a tendency within themselves to maybe push away intimacy, to push away people and connections when it reaches a certain proximity of closeness, a lot of unhealed wounds within themselves that may have been kind of the cause or the trigger point of this. And when those kind of nerve endings were touched upon, they reacted instead of responding. And it's something where they feel to be at the phase of just starting to recognize these things, just starting to look at these things, perhaps even just starting to become aware of these things within themselves. And so again, with that idea of patience and even healing, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something which is often very cyclical. It kind of goes through cycles and phases, almost like a spiral or an onion. There are deep layers to it, things that are uncovered and that are kind of resolved only to resurface in different ways and in different capacities. So a lot that this person needs to puzzle through within themselves and within their own kind of psyche and emotional body, and sort of how those things manifest out into actions or inactions on their part. All of that is very necessary before they are at a vibration and an awareness of self to be able to create measurable and substantial change in this circumstance. They also say no one else feels the same way you do. So if they pushed you away in the interest of moving toward a different type of partnership, maybe returning to a previous partner who they had been estranged from, or a connection that was kind of stale or past its expiration date, but it felt like a comfort zone. It was a safety net. It was something friends and family approved of. It was something that was known and familiar to them, that might have felt like the right choice at the time. There is a stagnancy which has only become more apparent with time. Maybe even a tendency of this person to kind of date around, to be very uncommitted, to be very detached, just very kind of superficial, relationships or interactions, or even just flings with other people. Someone who has kind of a fear of commitment. This pattern within themselves, this routine, this behavior, it's getting very old. It's not providing them with the same kind of sense of security and fulfillment or contentment that it once did. So again, they are at kind of this stage of really noticing this dissonance within themselves, having this kind of point of comparison and contrast between what they are experiencing or what kind of their tendencies is able to generate or sort of draw in or create for themselves versus even just the potential of what could have been between the two of you. This may have been kind of a false start, a connection that really never got off the ground, or was very intense for a period of time, only to be very abruptly kind of cut off. And that this is something where they're reflecting a lot about that and kind of their motivations. Why did they do that? Why did they run from something that felt so good? It felt so secure. They felt so seen and so appreciated. That might be very unusual for this person. It really indicates a lot of, again, kind of unhealed wounds within them, areas of themselves that they need to really recognize and work to kind of acknowledge and grow through. They also say, I didn't mean what I said. So that does tie in. That was coming up with that idea of manipulation, that whatever they told you, it is very false compared to the truth and reality of what they are feeling inside. If this is someone who tried to make you feel like you weren't good enough, you weren't what they were looking for, they didn't have feelings for you, they didn't know what kind of a future the two of you could have together, they weren't interested in that, just anything that they really had said to you, it almost feels to be kind of a ruse or a distraction. It was very impulsive. It was very reactionary. It was coming from a very wounded place and was not a reflection of the authenticity of what they feel inside, what they felt then and what they still feel inside for you. And they also say there is someone keeping me from you. So that is a confirmation right there of some kind of third-party energy. Maybe this is another romantic connection. This could be pressure from friends or family, or even a perception of how this person needs to show up, how the world expects them to be. This is external kind of factors and parties, the external influence, that people-pleasing, that codependency that is keeping them from moving in accordance with their heart's true desire, moving in the direction of true wish fulfillment. Somebody who's just almost kowtowing to what other people expect of them. Somebody who has kind of deferred their own sort of desire and their own contentment in the sense of in favor of kind of this duty or obligation to a particular persona that they have crafted for themselves, to really upholding that, this illusion that they are trying to present. Maybe this is a connection that is past, that they are in, that's past its expiration date, but they're keeping that, they're continuing to participate in that for appearance's sake, not wanting to be judged. Maybe there's something to do culturally or with their religion where, divorce is not something that that is looked very favorably upon. And so although it might be the best kind of solution, it might be two very deeply unhappy people that are with one another. It doesn't feel like something that this person is necessarily willing to entertain or sort of look at very seriously. There may be also, again, pressure from friends or family to remain with a certain type of partner. Or if they are not in any kind of connection at this point in time, it may just be kind of the pressure, what they're seeing around them of, the types of relationships, the nature of relationships, maybe even something else that they should be focusing on instead of love at this point in time. Maybe with that Eight of Pentacles, it has to do with some kind of career goals that they are working toward, that they are still putting that as a priority, that is something which, is kind of the right way to do things. It's the natural progression of things, and there's a priority that is being put on that, kind of deferring what feels right and feels natural and feels like the best course of action, and almost doing what others expect of them at this time. And they also say, I act like I don't care when deep down I really do. So again, another confirmation of that energy of the mask, the front that they have put on, that whatever they have said, that kind of manipulation that came through. Maybe this is even kind of manipulative actions or things that they did, that really sort of unraveled this connection in the past. It feels like the energy of self-sabotage. It feels like a very kind of distorted and an inappropriate way of sort of acting out or lashing out, or doing things to kind of destroy or undermine the connection and the vibration between the two of you, stemming from a place of deep wounding and fear, a fear of commitment, a fear of love, a feeling of inadequacy within themselves, fear about what you would find behind that mask, ways in which you may have seen through it and seen to the core of who they are. Feeling very safe in that, feeling very loved and comfortable in that, but yet that feeling of well-being it almost feels very foreign to them. They are not accustomed to that. They are not accustomed to somebody appreciating them for who they are. They may be used to people who only value them for what they can provide, what they can give, what kind of status they bring with them. Relationships that are based very much on appearances, or that, meet certain criteria. It's the way that others have done this. It's the way people in their family do it. And somehow that this connection is outside of the box. This is somebody who is not really used to deep emotions, not used to facing their own emotions. And so when those emotions were stirred, those emotional waters, it feels like their reaction was to try and extinguish this, or to do things to really harm or undermine kind of that vibration of harmony between the two of you. And they also say, I fear the unknown. So that can really apply to, the unknown being deep intimacy with another person. The unknown can be sort of marching to the beat of their own drum, defying the expectations that family, friends, their culture, their tradition, their religion has put upon them. It's this fear of really breaking out of some kind of pattern or habit or cycle in their life. Maybe even a fear of healing, of the healing power, the very redemptive power of this love that exists between the two of you. There's a fear of that, a feeling of unworthiness. This feels like someone who's very kind of, they perceive themselves to be very broken and limited inside, and the limitlessness which you maybe even just very unconsciously and energetically have really stirred within them or have suggested to them. It is very outside of the realm of how they have come to view themselves, how they have come to view their own potential or what love and connection could be like. And so although this connection was very alluring to them, these feelings are very alluring to them, there was a lot of fear of that because it's something they'd never experienced before. And they also say, I surrender to our mission. So they are in this process of kind of breaking down those walls within themselves, breaking down those barriers to that idea of a larger sort of purpose for the two of you meeting. This is someone who can't get you off of their mind. And kind of these tactics of manipulation or self-sabotage may have worked in the past to push people away who got too close, to just stay very much in line with a rigid way of being and doing and thinking, but that somehow it has not worked in this connection. They've not been able to completely extract you from their heart space. And so it's this process of, again, healing being in layers, this idea of patience. They are surrendering to this, but it may take time to really uncover the meaning of what that means, what that potential is here, the possibilities of what that can grow into, and building that confidence within themselves through closing out other cycles, through kind of learning new communication skills, addressing and recognizing and owning these feelings they have within them, both the jubilation and the vulnerability which exist side by side within them, these feelings of inadequacy and also feelings of being enough, creating space within themselves for both of these polarities to exist. All of this is, something which takes time. It's an ongoing process. It's a work in progress. Something that's happening very silently and behind the scenes. Change is afoot in this person energetically, which in time can definitely lead to change in the circumstances between the two of you. And they also say we see each other in dreams. So you both might be having dreams of each other very frequently at this point in time, or kind of as a constant since the two of you parted ways or this connection really unraveled. It feels like something where they're also kind of dreaming of being brave, dreaming of kind of this what if they had done things differently? What if things had turned out between you in a different manner? Dreaming of a future that does involve you, but again, like dreams, it feels like something that is very kind of out of reach, very remote. They don't really see an immediate fix or solution to the circumstances you find yourselves in currently. So for now, this is something they can only dream about. They don't feel in a place of being able, willing, or ready to make change presently in this circumstance. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit for you about this situation. Okay, and we have self-care, tend to your garden. So this is really some advice to sit with and maybe revisit, like the idea of healing being a spiral or like layers of an onion. Feelings of, maybe being tricked or manipulated by this person, by the twin flame journey, by this circumstance, even tricked by your own intuition or tricked by your heart for opening up to these feelings. Feeling something for this person so intensely only to having, to end up having that kind of fall apart. Feelings of resentment toward the universe even, or, to yourself or to your spirit guides. Why would you be brought down this path only to have things, become so difficult or to become so arduous? Part of self-care is that rigorous self-honesty, having compassion for oneself first and foremost in order to be able to have compassion for others. That at this point in time and kind of in the immediate future, as this person is starting to venture deeply within themselves, needing to look in the mirror, needing to tend to their own kind of environment and the internal environment that has really led to the manifestation of these circumstances between the two of you. You're really advised to do the same. Tap into what has come up, maybe things you thought you had resolved that could have been triggered by this reading or that come up every now and then. Maybe you have dreams about this person and it sets off kind of these memories. It almost puts you back on this spiral of all the work you thought you did, all the progress you thought you made, and feeling a lot of frustration, feeling like you've almost fallen back or sort of regressed in some way. Recognizing again that element of healing being in layers, it being like an onion, taking care care of yourself, being tender with yourself, holding space for yourself, for the full range of emotions you have. Everything from hope to hopelessness in this circumstance. All of these feelings, all of that range is very valid. And working into that area of becoming comfortable with kind of the ebb and flow with this circumstance. Focusing on yourself and tending to yourself primarily, that this person, it feels that they are just kind of at the beginning of what may be a long and difficult journey. The future, the potential of that, how far they are willing to go in that process is unknown. It is unwritten at this point in time. And so really, all you can do is kind of help yourself in this circumstance, heal yourself in this circumstance, love yourself in this circumstance, become that love you are hoping to receive from another. And that really opens you up vibrationally to the reception of that, whether it is in the form of this person having done the work, having gone through this process, having addressed their shadow, having recognized and seen through that to their own light, becoming this very kind of balanced and well-informed about self, kind of individual, to be able to bring something measurable, bring change to you in a way that is lasting and substantial, or the universe providing you with that love you seek and that you embody and that you harness within yourself in the form of another person. Being very open to that, and at this point in time, kind of coming back to center, coming back to home, tending to whatever has come up, maybe things that are resurfacing again for you, and recognizing that, again, healing comes in layers. You may be readdressing these same kind of wounds or archetypes many different times. And each time, you're digging deeper into that. You're extracting more of that kind of distortion from you, the distortion of unawareness. You are seeing these things from different angles. And you are learning to kind of love and accept yourself despite kind of the reoccurrence of these wounds that are very deep, wounds that are very entrenched, wounds that may take time to heal and to be kind of loved back into a place of wholeness. Being patient with this, patient with yourself, and kind of looking at more of an overarching theme of kind of the purpose and journey, taking your attention off of this circumstance and this person for the time being, and really directing that to self is the best course of action at this time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got I, Z, J, X, V, W, B, and H. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer pre-recorded video readings. I've just brought back written readings, and I also offer channeled love letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the black quartz along with these cards, which I'll start with to get kind of a general overview of what's going on with this person right now, the energies of the connection between you. We've got Grandmother Moon, self-reflection, inner rhythms, intuition, spontaneous, and indecision. So this is really feeling that if this is a full no contact situation, this person is kind of going back and forth about breaking the silence between the two of you, coming out from kind of this hidden world, this hidden realm with Grandmother Moon, maybe getting a lot of signs and synchronicities, encouraging them to move forward in this circumstance. This is bringing forth with this imagery here of the woman on the horse. It is bringing forth and kind of this moon energy, this watery energy, so Pisces and Cancer energy. It's kind of like the Knight of Cups. So something that may have been kind of a slow and steady progress to you, a little bit faster than like a Knight of Pentacles energy, although you may have been in no contact with this person for quite some time. But it feels that they are steadily flowing towards you. This desire to kind of shift the energy of anything that may have been stale and stagnant into kind of a burst of activity, breathing some life back into this situation. Again, creating that communication, maybe very spontaneously. It might be very surprising to hear from them, or very surprising to know that they are encouraged to move forward towards you. Again, a lot of signs and synchronicities that they could be getting. They may be, kind of in connection with their ancestors as well at this point in time. Maybe even this almost feels like, and it's a timeless reading, so just kind of take these messages as they resonate whenever you are watching this. But at the time I'm recording this, we're kind of coming up on the holiday season, and so they might be spending time with family, and maybe somebody in their family has asked about you, has brought you up in conversation if they know about you, they know about this connection, or just seeing kind of the multitude of generations, the people that have come before them, and longing for that kind of long-term partnership, that sort of forever person. Something that may not have been a priority to them before, but could definitely really be kind of entering into the equation for them. They're starting to put a lot more priority on that. They're starting to put a lot more importance and weight upon that. And it's really pulling at their heartstrings. It's bringing up a lot of energy of nostalgia, this very watery energy, where they almost feel like they want to at least knock on the door with you and see what is possible. See if things can be kind of rectified in this situation, see if you can start over, that the silence has become very heavy between you. And all signs are kind of pointing them to make change in this circumstance. They may be holding back or a little bit hesitant because they're not sure about the exact manner of how to make that approach. They may be kind of watching you from afar at this point in time, looking you up on social media, maybe getting together with friends or family, and they have heard about you. They have asked about you. They're keeping their ears open for any kind of word or information about what's going on with you in your life. Maybe doing a little bit of investigation work to see, are you available? Would you even be interested? What is happening? Where are you, in your reality, in your world? A sense of not knowing necessarily what to say, wanting to make sure that they don't come across as very impulsive, wanting to make sure that they, come across in this very kind of solid and reliable energy, making sure that they make their intentions clear, they make their intentions known, wanting to give more depth to you and to this communication and to this circumstance than just kind of leaving it at a very kind of surface level hello and saying nothing more than that, clamming up from that point in time. So it feels like somebody also with kind of the indecision and spontaneous, they may have drafted communications to you, been on the brink of reaching out only to hold back at the last moment, to pull themselves back, to make efforts to drive to your house, and then they kind of turn off at the last minute. They turn around, they go back home, they go back into that energy of just kind of thinking about it, strategizing. Well, maybe today's not the right day. Somebody who may almost be a little bit of overthinking, kind of a little bit of a fearful energy as well. Maybe even misconstruing some of the signs that they are getting, which are beckoning them forward. And they are kind of perceiving that as maybe it's time to wait. Maybe it's, the time is not off. And it almost feels like this person's kind of even their passed on loved ones, their spirit team, maybe even people in their life that are kind of pushing them or sort of nudging them in the direction of, making some kind of change in this circumstance, or sort of shaking their head, a little bit of just kind of frustration at this person for being so kind of slow to act in this situation, wanting to just kind of get sign after sign, being a little bit indecisive, kind of reaching out and then just pulling back into the shadows at the last minute. But it does feel like the energy where they are thinking about providing some kind of clarity, thinking about communication, thinking about, making themselves known to you, seeing what can happen, what can be salvaged, what can be re-sparked in this circumstance. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification for you about this. Okay, so we have the Two of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Ace of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And the Five of Cups, so more of that watery energy. So this beautifully ties in and illustrates and reinforces these oracle cards. That Ace of Pentacles is that offer, that seed that they want to plant in this circumstance, that communication, reaching out, knocking on that door, coming forward, expressing something with the hopes that it can grow into something more. Not just wanting to have this be something very impulsive that they kind of deliver and then sort of run away again or sort of move away again. But wanting to come forward in this solid energy, wanting to have some kind of a fresh start, or to at least open up to that potential, that curiosity of what can develop between the two of you. Two of Cups is often looked at as the soulmate card. It can talk about, coming together in a loving partnership, a lot of nostalgia that is taking place right now. Again, kind of that essence and that energy of wanting that forever person, maybe feeling very lonely at this point in time, or the time apart, this energy of self-reflection in the silence, in kind of this hidden energy, that there's been a lot that has been going on beneath the surface. Somebody who was very indecisive before is moving into this energy of certainty, but there's still this element of indecision, a fear with the Five of Cups of loss, a fear that it might be too little too late, uncertainty about how to kind of move beyond sort of the what was sort of torn asunder, or what went awry in this circumstance, to return to that closeness the two of you once shared. Very emotional energy here. Somebody who is very much in that heart space has come to a place of certainty about something in regards to this connection. But there, again, that element of indecision about how to express that, how to convey that, how to move forward, what to deliver, what is necessary in order to really change these circumstances. And it may be very impulsive, very surprising. They may come forward and be almost in the energy of stuttering or blushing, or kind of tripping over their words when they kind of speak to you. But it feels like something that has been thought about for a while. They've been in this planning stage. They've been on the brink of reaching out, only to kind of talk themselves out of it at the last minute. But this does feel like the buildup to some kind of change or communication in this circumstance. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, so we have spiritual awakening. So this definitely indicates that something has changed within this person in terms of how they are viewing you and the connection, and what they feel is possible here, what they want out of this circumstance. Somebody who is indecisive has now stepped into this place of certainty. A lot has changed within them. It may almost be this energy of getting to know one another again because of all these profound changes that have happened on the energetic level, on the emotional level, maybe even circumstances in their material reality. They may have even gone through physical transformations where it is like you are meeting each other once again and for the first time. This element of awakening to who you are to them, recognizing you as this counterpart energy, almost the yin to their yang, somebody that they feel, when they think about the idea of a forever person, who they could imagine growing old with, their thoughts and their heart always come back to you. And they also say, I get emotional when I think of you. So that ties in really well with all of this watery energy that we have here with the cups and the moon showing up in two of these cards that might be hidden from view. You may be very unaware of that, but through the distance and space and time, you have remained in their heart. It is something that they get very choked up when they think about, this missing, this longing for you, feelings of regret at having not recognized the value and worth of this connection, or not fighting harder to kind of preserve what the two of you had. Any ways that they may have distanced themselves, turned their back on this situation, or allowed you to slip through their fingers. It's something which, if given the opportunity, they would not repeat a second time. And we also have destined connection. So that ties in with the element of soulmates, past life connection between the two of you. Through all the changes that have taken place internally and within their world, it feels that as much as your paths may have diverged, all roads are leading back to you. A lot of signs, a lot of synchronicities, but they may be kind of questioning all of that. A little bit of uncertainty, some excitement as well at kind of nearing this proximity of awareness and kind of knowing what needs to be done, getting closer to that brink of reaching out, making that contact, making that first move, that it feels very destined, it feels very inevitable that the two of you will come back together, that they feel that the story between you is not finished. There's still more left to experience, an appreciation they are starting to have for this time apart, because it was very necessary for the two of you to really come to some deep truths within yourself, to be able to cherish, appreciate, and tap into an experience the deep chemistry and energy and potential and love which flows through this connection and still continues to be almost a raging river of emotions within them, despite the silence, despite the time and space that has created distance between the two of you. They also say, please forgive me. So that Ace of Pentacles may be an apology that is owed, wanting you to forgive them for not having seen kind of the magical quality of this connection, not having recognized you sooner for who you are as that counterpart, as the answer to what they have been looking for, the love that they have been seeking. Maybe forgiveness is something that they will request because of the approach that they took to this situation before, pushing this away, running away from you, kind of withdrawing into themselves, hiding their true feelings for you. If this is something where, this never got off the ground, this could have been just a lot of thick potential between the two of you that was never acted upon. And it's something that has filled them with regret. They have kept that with them. They have held that with them. And again, it feels like if given the opportunity, they would not make the same mistake twice. It also feels like the essence of, please forgive me for not having come forward sooner. Please forgive me for not having expressed the true depth and nature of my love for you, as I should have done long ago. And they also say, I feel like I am not enough for you, and I feel you have expectations. So that can tie into that element of indecision, some investigation about what's going on with you. What do you have going on in your life right now? Are you single? Are you available? What changes have occurred for you? And there's this questioning about if the changes that they have made within and to themselves, if this is going to be sufficient to be entertained by you, because of a vibrational shift and maybe a whole life makeover that you have done in the period of time since the two of you were last in contact with one another or in connection with one another. A little bit of fears about, if the changes they have implemented, this kind of awakening, this expansion within themselves, some kind of a glow up, is this firmly rooted enough to be that foundation upon which the two of you can build. They feel that you have raised the bar, you have raised the standards in some way in your life, maybe what they're able to hear about, or they're able to glean through your social media, or what they are able to see or research. And if none of that is an option or available to them, this may even just be what they're sensing energetically emanating from you. And so it's a little bit of questioning. It's that tug that pulls them back at the last minute from, calling you, hitting the send button on that email or that text or that social media communication, from knocking on that door, from turning down your street and pulling over and coming to speak to you. It's that tug that sort of brings them back into that place of still more planning, more time. It might not be right. It's a little bit of that uncertainty that is really, it's almost creating this irritant that is going to necessitate that spontaneity, where they just do it almost without thinking. They push that send, they ring that doorbell, they reach out, they say something almost at a very surprising manner to themselves, that they wake up one day and this is the day, and they just courageously kind of move forward with that. They also say, I cherish those moments we spent time together. I miss you. So a lot of longing and nostalgia, a desire to go back to the start, to do things over, or to do things better, or to maybe do things at all where they failed to act in the first place. As far as your paths may have taken you apart, as much as they may have wandered and traveled the world and these internal landscapes, it all keeps coming back to you. They're missing that. They're longing for that. This potential, this energy, this chemistry that is beyond romance and beyond words that still exists. It is this thread which weaves the two of you together etherically, despite how much distance may have been created between you bodily. That, in terms of the emotional body, in terms of the etheric body, they feel very connected to you. The distance it's feeling, it's creating an ache for them that is very difficult to ignore. It is very difficult to continue to endure. And this feels like somebody who is at the point of action, to at least put themselves out there, to at least take a chance to try and change these circumstances between the two of you. And they also say it's written in the stars. So another confirmation of that destined connection. You may also resonate as a star seed, and this can be a confirmation for you. This can tie into that spiritual awakening, an aspect of this person that they have woken up to within themselves. And that is as they are starting to discover more about who they are at the soul level, who they are at their core, they are recognizing that resonance, that sameness, that yin to the yang between the two of you. They may feel very kind of out of place in the world, very out of place in the life that they were living. And yet at the soul level, they are very much beckoned to you. You feel like home to them, and it is something that is calling them in from out of the cold, in from out of this very remote energy, and from the silence which exists between the two of you, wanting to provide some illumination, wanting to reinstill hope, the hope that they have held on to with the idea of the star in their heart, that in the end it would be the two of you. That, kind of no matter how your paths diverged, you were always being called back in a roundabout way to each other. And they also say it's all about that timing. So again, maybe looking for these signs, these synchronicities and confirmations that they are either second guessing, perhaps they're misinterpreting these things, or, they're just, the fear is kind of getting, and the excitement is getting the best of them at the last minute, where they are on the brink of saying something only to kind of pull themselves back. The time's not right, maybe tomorrow, got to check the weather, got to check the temperature of this a little bit more, got to go in and ask for those signs, have to have a conference with the spirit team. If this is somebody who practices divination, maybe they have to consult the cards, consult the runes, consult the pendulum another time before they make their action forward. But it does feel like something, again, it really ties in with written in the stars and destined connection and this divine timing, that in the end it will be the two of you. There's this sense of certainty and knowing within them that is creating this calm, as much as there is almost this giddiness or this anxiousness or anticipation at the core core of them, there is this root knowing that there is something significant about this connection. The story between you is not over. There is something deeper to experience, and where the timing may have been off between the two of you, almost right person, wrong time previously, circumstances are really coming into alignment, and they are creating that for themselves in order to really facilitate the proper environment to give this love the opportunity that it deserves to be explored and to flourish. And they also say, I always loved you, but was too scared to tell you. So confirmation there of a connection that never got off the ground, words that were never spoken that this person regrets. If given the opportunity, they will not make that mistake a second time. They have always loved you. The love continues to burn within them. It has been a guiding light through the various shadows that they have traversed. The distance between the two of you, maybe some tower moments, some dark night of the soul energy that goes in with spiritual awakening. As far as they have wandered, they keep coming back around to you, to these feelings, something they can't shake about the familiarity of you on the soul level, this desire for closeness, this feeling of kinship, of sameness, of oneness between the two of you at the soul level. And so somebody who is definitely working up the nerve to make that communication. It may come in very spontaneously, but this feels like a truth that they will not be able to continue to hold within them for very much longer. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit now for you about this situation. Okay, and we have share. The busy bee should still make time for each flower. So this can again really talk about this very kind of fast-moving energy, fast-moving communication that may be in a sense of returning home, a sense of building community with one another. Again, you may run into this person at a gathering or receive some kind of an invitation from them. This is encouraging you with the idea of share, to hold space for them to express their truth, things that may have been existing within them, this love they have had for you for quite some time, allowing them to really speak their truth, but then also, really expressing what is within you. Kind of the positive and negative, the feelings of rejection that you have, the love that you hold within you, sharing and exchanging the full kind of range of, maybe even where your life journeys have taken each of you, what you have discovered in this process of spiritual awakening, in this ascension, in this healing journey that you have been on. This idea of sharing also really ties into co-creation and is some guidance here that there is an ability to create a fresh start in this circumstance. And it may be something where you almost feel the energy buzzing. You feel this sense of build up, something that is really getting ready to manifest, but an uncertainty as to what. Again, we had that spontaneous cards that may be very unexpected, how you run into this person, you hear from this person, they come forth. And it may be in sort of this energy where they're almost tripping over their own feet. So being a little bit patient with that, understanding kind of the intensity of what they are sharing with you, being very open to finally the time being right for the two of you, and that it feels like somebody who might also try to hold themselves a little bit back, just trying to take things very slowly, trying not to overwhelm you or be too intense, to reveal too much too soon, but just sharing at a pace, opening up at a pace which is comfortable to the both of you energetically, trusting that, this connection, that there is a very specific reason for the two of you having intersected with one another, and that there's a very good chance that the timing is now right for the two of you to experience a new layer together. The way the connection was supposed to be. The energies are ripe within the two of you and within your environments. So being open to receive the gift of vulnerability that this person has to offer, and reciprocating that in kind by being very honest about your thoughts, feelings, and intentions about this circumstance. When and if this person makes their move towards you and makes that communication, which for a lot of you, this feels very likely that you will hear from this person in the not too distant future. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got F, I, S, W, J, G, Y, T, and K. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer pre-recorded video readings. I've just brought back written readings, and I also offer channeled love letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.